that courtroom and see how this case from the government was going to play out. It's fascinating being in the courtroom. It's fascinating to see Diddy take a front seat to his own defense, like literally has a seat at the table. You've seen it where he's often passing notes, whispering stuff to his defense attorneys. He's having very expressive reactions to things he disagrees with, or at times when his ex-personal assistant said things that were favorable of him, things about, his business acumen, things like that. He's shaking like, yep, that's me. So it's been very interesting to see how active Diddy has been in this trial. I don't think that was something that I was expecting to see so obviously, I would say.
The judge Thursday delivered a scolding of sorts to Combs through his lawyer, saying that Combs had been too expressive during the trial. This is definitely something I've noticed, but here's how Judge Subramanian described it. He said, quote, "There's a line of questioning where your client was nodding vigorously and looking at the jury, and there was a subsequent moment when there was a sidebar and I saw your client looking at the jury." The judge then added emphatically, "That is absolutely unacceptable." He said that there shouldn't be any efforts to interact with the jury, and that if Diddy doesn't comply, he can be kicked out of the courtroom. And just to highlight for the listeners and viewers, like you're sitting in the courtroom and you see Cassie Ventura walk just feet by you as she takes the witness stand, Kid Cudi, all of these people. And so you get to see them like up close and personal.
Absolutely.
As a booker, you did a deep dive on all the civil lawsuits that have been filed against Diddy. Some that we've talked about on this podcast before. Cassie, of course, also Little Rod Jones, the producer who worked on Diddy's Love album, and Don Richard, a singer who worked with Diddy in the group Danity Kane. Diddy's denied all allegations in these lawsuits, but I wonder what's been most striking or surprising to you about who the government has called to take the witness stand and also who they haven't.
So I think when we were hearing about this case for months, the name that was mostly talked about was Little Rod and this explosive lawsuit that his attorney had against Diddy. And there were other celebrities named in it, and there were all of these allegations against Sean Combs. And so I think a lot of people were expecting to see that case on trial. And that's not what we're there for. And I think people are beginning to understand the difference between the civil suits that we were seeing and what's going on with what the federal government is charging Sean Combs with. So seeing this super pared down list of victims, and even down to that, when we see someone who has a civil suit against Diddy like Dawn Richard from Danity Kane, when we see her take the stand, we're not hearing about the personal allegations she made against him in her civil suit. We're hearing about her corroborating testimony of acts of violence that she saw Sean Combs commit against Cassie, allegedly. We're hearing about alleged threats that he made towards her to keep quiet about the things that she says she was seeing Combs do to Cassie. And so it's interesting to see where the testimony goes once they get on the stand. It was also interesting to see when Cassie's mother, Regina, got on the stand. Yes, she spoke to some of the bruises and things she had seen on her daughter's body, corroborating some of that evidence. But we're hearing explosive testimony.